Greetings, all you heroes and villains out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din coming at you with another Young Justice Outsiders episode review. This time it's Season 3, Episode 2, titled The Royal We. This, these reviews that I'm basically doing is more of insight into like background stuff and things along that nature, just to kind of get people in the know about certain things, in terms of this series. Because these episodes were released all together, first 3 episodes, and I felt that my take would just to be doing a little bit more of the side stuff, the stuff that you might not be too aware of, because I have a good knowledge of the world of comic books that this universe is based off of. Now, getting into the episode, we get a little interesting bit of information here, where we see Beast Boy. He's on a TV series. Beast Boy, through a lot of various versions of his incarnations, has always been very much the outgoing character. The person who's in, television stuff, videos, various things like that. We saw that in Teen Titans. If you watched, Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, he was doing, podcasts and interviews and things of that nature. He's always kind of been the more celebrity status kind of character, even in the terms of, New 52 and stuff like that. It's always been that way. And he's using this to kind of as a bit of a platform, where he's in this television series based off Star Trek, and he does one of those the more you know things, if anyone's aware of those memes, where he talks about the fact that more than 16,000, children have been trafficked for metahuman warfare and stuff like that. And it's just a PSA. But something to keep note of is the fact that, unlike in the original first few seasons, Beast Boy is now voiced by Greg Cipes, who has almost entirely become synonymous with the character of Beast Boy. Very much like how Mark Hamill is very much known for his voice acting role for the Joker, or Kevin Conroy is very much known for his voice acting role for Batman, or even Teen Titans, where Raven, Tara Strong, stuff along that nature. So yet again, Greg Cipes is voicing Beast Boy, and to a certain degree, I wouldn't have it any other way. I just love me some Greg Cipes, and he always brings such a fun personality to the character. Now, getting into it, we have Cat Grant reporting on the summit of the United Nations in terms of metahuman activity, where we have Catherine Colbert, the liaison to the Justice League, informing the UN about the various League members who have departed from the League because of contentions and friction between them in terms of how the metahuman situation should be handled. Lex Luthor, always the one to stoke fires, is just kind of puts some of this down and uses this to take a few jabs at the League as a whole, saying that it's just like, well, if they can't keep themselves together, then that just shows that how problematic the League is as a whole. Now, Garth, who we find out is actually an ambassador from Atlantis now, so that's what he's been doing since he's no longer been part of the team. He works as an ambassador, and he calls Luthor and the UN out, saying like, listen, the League's issues come from the fact that, this body has just completely shut down any form of operation that they would take, even humanitarian activities. You're basically tying one hand behind their back in everything that they try to do. And naturally, the Bialyan ambassador, because Bialya is always the root of any kind of situation, it's just like, well, if, of course you would say that, someone from Atlantis leagues the League, and this, that, and the other. He notes the fact that no Bialyan superhero has been invited into the League, and Troya, Donna Troy, a character who gets so underutilized in so many forms of media, shows up. Donna Troy has been just completely blocked off in a lot of ways from media because of an embargo that the creators of Wonder Woman had going, were in stating that, unless, these characters were put at the forefront, they couldn't really be used too often. That embargo got lifted a little too late in terms of Young Justice, because they had wanted Donna Troy to be a prominent member in season 1, and, once the embargo was lifted, it was a little too late to really introduce her. They wanted to introduce her in season 2 during the whole, I think it was bachelorette party or something that went on, where we saw all the various female characters come together. She was going to be introduced there, but they felt like, they didn't have a solid design going for her, and just constant issues where, the Super Best Friends Forever, she was a prominent character there, and, that got turned into DC Superhero Girls, where it's Wonder Woman who is the main character instead of Wonder Girl, Donna Troy. She's always denied from getting a prominent role, and it's good to see her here in some form of media. But she calls out Bialya in the fact that, they never seem to introduce anybody of worth note. And she simply states to the UN, it's just like, hey, listen, the members of the League, though it's sad to see them no longer affiliated with the League, they will do what is necessary to keep the world safe. And because of this, a massive argument breaks out in the UN. But ambassador from Markovia, simply states that no metahuman, hero or otherwise, should be allowed to enter into Markovian territory. And naturally, we have Dick Grayson and Artemis Croc coming into Bialya under the guise of coming for the royal coronation and ceremonies and all that good stuff. They spot Brion and Gregor, who are discussing the various facts, how they don't quite trust the Baron, their mother's brother, in terms of all of this. Artemis and Dick are kind of getting a lay of the land, more or less, seeing the various parties who they should, keep an eye on in certain things, like who is more likely to be producing all of these various metahumans and trafficking all these children. And as the Baron gives his announcement, over the fact that, Gregor will ascend to the throne in 1 year's time, and the Baron will be acting as regent, Brion cannot help but voice his displeasure. Let's be real, the Baron is a villain. I feel it in my bones, the Baron is a villain. It's very much noted, we have various clues and stuff like that, but there's always the possibility that Gregor is also involved. Superboy and Black Lightning set down everyone's gear over in the town cemetery, and they go to infiltrate things. Meanwhile, Dr. Helga talks to Brion about activating his metagene and motions him over to X, who is the scientist, actually doing all the metahuman experimentations and all that good stuff. So Dick and Artemis split off. Meanwhile, Black Lightning and Superboy go over to the children's hospital, make their way into the morgue, find a secret passage, and we actually see something very interesting. This tech that works very much like spiral tech. I read through Grayson, Dick Grayson's solo series where he was assumed dead, and he ended up infiltrating this organization who was all about it was something to do with metahuman shit. I read through the series, but it wasn't that interesting. But they had this technology. We actually see it a lot here, where they have these contacts lenses that do all this various stuff and gives these readouts and information. And it also protected their faces from being seen by any kind of visual analysis, outside technology, and stuff like that. So a nice little illusion here with that. But they end up stumbling upon, the underground laboratory where all the children are experimented on, where Black Lightning kind of freaks out a bit because dead kids and all that good stuff. They even find disassembled mother box, which Superboy mourns over because it's a living sentient being, and they end up running into Count Vertigo, Count Warner Vertigo, who tries to, suppress them, and, because they're intruders, and we find out that he's running this operation. We also find out that Otto, the brother of the girl from the first episode, has also been transformed into his, known personality of Plasmius, who, if you've seen Teen Titans, you know who Plasmius is. That Plasmius. He changes against his control into this monster. Although the fire powers are something very new. And Black Lightning just starts freaking out. He has flashbacks to the girl who he accidentally ended up killing and all that good stuff. So he's freaking out, and he can't help Superboy, who's being burned at the Plasmius's touch, but they manage to escape in the underground sewers, and Vertigo sends Plasmius after them. Meanwhile, we see that the men from before who had captured the young girl who would be Halo, and they apparently killed her, and they're burying her with all the other kids, but she ends up reviving. Now, the backstory for Halo is that she was a young girl who was originally, at least in terms of the comics, living on the streets. She was assassinated by Tobias Whale and Cyanide. Anyone who watches Black Lightning knows those names. And her body was possessed by this alien entity that revived her to a certain degree and kind of used her body as a proxy. And then later on, the actual girl was revived, and the two beings lived together in a kind of symbiotic relationship. So she has been revived, but she's very out of it, not quite in the know about what's going on. Artemis stumbles upon this, takes out several of the guys, and then she tries to rescue the young girl, only for one of the thugs to come in with an energy whip, and we see one of Halo's abilities, which is, with certain color shifts, she's able to produce certain results, with purple being healing and red being defensive, and she reflects the energy whip. Artemis tries to get the young girl out of there, completely deviating from the original plan. Meanwhile, Brion is taken by Essex to the location, where being followed by Dick. Artemis tries to get some information from Halo to, learn more about her, but she's very kind of damaged, more or less. And we didn't know too much about the girl beforehand, so we don't really know how that works. I don't think they're going to run the whole alien symbiotic relationship thing here, where she's probably just going to be a metahuman, because they change a lot of things in terms of this series in order to kind of adjust and make things happen a little bit more naturally in terms of the series as a whole. So Dick is kind of on his own. He tries to get in contact with Black Lightning and Superboy, but there's a bit of a signal dampener in terms of the underground laboratory. They try to make their way out, come upon this grate overlooking the sea, and when Black Lightning tries to jump down, he ends up being knocked out by the rocks below because it was too shallow, and Superboy is captured by Plasmius. Dick sends in a drone to follow Essex, and this isn't Marvel, not Mr. Sinister, X, and Brion inside. Artemis comes to an understanding with Halo, though she has memory loss. She's going to try to help the girl as best she can. Artemis stumbles upon Black Lightning and wakes him up to find out what had happened with Superboy. Meanwhile, Superboy is taken to Vertigo, and he makes it known that he'll let the UN know about the infiltration from a US agent. Meanwhile, Brianna is less than happy by what he's seeing from X, who was led to believe that Brianna would be a little bit more accepting of everything that they're doing. But yeah, I don't know why you thought that, dead kids, what happened with his sister, you're kidnapping children and all that good stuff. Yeah, no, he's not cool with it. And he goes to talk to his brother about the whole situation. And Vertigo, incapacitates him and gives him this knowing lecture over the fact that, his king might be a little bit more accepting of this than he would like to believe. So Artemis gets in touch with Dick, relaying the fact that Superboy has been captured. Dick goes in the front while Artemis and Black Lightning go back in through the sewers, and Brion is put in a stasis tube along with Superboy with a dampening collar. Vertigo makes it very well known that, X done fucked up in the fact that he brought a royal here. It's a very precarious situation because now they've captured a royal. There'll be investigations that'll put a lot of attention into their whole situation. So X done hecked up. Though we come to find out that Dr. Helga was the driving force behind a lot of this, and she activates the tar process to give Gregor the metahuman ability. The henchmen report back to Vertigo about the whole situation, and he gets in contact with someone he calls His Highness. So it's either the Baron or it's, Gregor. It's the Baron. I will make no small claims that it is the Baron. I haven't looked ahead yet, but I'm pretty sure it's the Baron. And so Brion is put under the tar process with Dr. Helga telling him that this will be for the best. So she's in on the whole situation as well, and we will soon see Brion turned into the superhero Geoforce, because that's his whole origin. Scientific process, that turns him into this meta-human. So, I really very much like the way that they tie so many other characters' abilities into this whole experimentation, and how a lot of people carry the meta gene with them, and so on and so forth. Because it's just like, yes, they have metahuman abilities, but it has to be activated and all that good stuff. It's a very interesting way to tie everything together with, originally a lot of people don't have, their abilities tied in with each other, but here a lot of people really very much do. Like, Bang Babies, it's just because they had the metahuman gene and experimented on. So it's very interesting and compelling. They've gone in a darker direction with all the, kid deaths, like, freaking killing kids over here. It's very intense. And, lots of, violence for the most part. So, but it's not overdone. It's just the right amount to just kind of drive certain things home. So, I'm very grateful that this platform is doing such a good job for the most part in bringing this series back. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. At least on this episode, is there any interesting information that I was able to impart onto you that you didn't know? Or do you have any information that I missed in terms of this episode? Feel free to let me know in the comment section. And if you like this video, leave me a like so that I might know that I am at least doing something good with these episode reviews, quotation marks. Or give me a dislike and tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comment section below, so I might better myself for the future. This video is a little bit shorter than the last one, but not by much. But hey, how about subscribing, because I'll definitely be bringing you more episode reviews and in-depth knowledge in the comic book world of Young Justice. But until then, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you real soon. Bye-bye.